they've made because besides the Matlock hammock whatever the axe thing
Hmm.
uh the other one like the collar is like when a guy that's equipped dies, if it was a human you get a token. And then there's
Yep.
this one, and there's I feel like there's one or two more that are all like stat and then potential ability.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's a way better way of doing it than the
yeah,
reverse.
yeah.
Yep.
So I feel like they are on top of that unwritten rule.
Right.
And I don't know. I like I don't really like common equipment in general, like period. But I think that uh,
Why do you not like common equipment?
just like not from a design perspective, like a personal, like a playing perspective, I don't like it. But
Okay.
just because it's like its effect on limited, specifically draft, is like really awkward. On the tension between like keeping your options open or like taking a potentially more powerful card, and like I don't like being grinded out, where people are like always trading up against me, which equipment
Yeah.
makes happen. But yeah, like for common equipment, like small but worthwhile effect is what I'd rather it be than
Hmm.
you know the like stupid, super expensive equipment that then gives it like +1/+1 and double strike, and it's just like why is that uncommon and what's the like mana force mace, the one that's like 4 mana and then I think it's 3 to equip and it's like +X+X for domain at uncommon.
Yeah. Right.
Like that one was felt really weird design wise for me, but I don't know what I'm talking about now. Just that equipment is annoying, and I'd rather it be a small effect than a big one, basically.
Yeah. I mean, the fear is that like as your equipment ratchets up in power level, um, not necessarily, sorry, power level is the wrong word. In effect, they
Hmm.
can be more expensive. It means that it actually doesn't matter what like the text box of the creature that you're drawing is because it's just
Right.
dwarfed by whatever the equipment's
Exactly.
doing. So it has the risk of homogenizing gameplay. But I feel like
You're
something like
so
+1
much.
+1 and vigilance is like innocuous enough that it's not going to have that effect. But you can imagine like once you have an equipment that gives your guy +10/+10 in
Yes.
theory, it doesn't actually matter what guy you draw. Like Llanowar, Elf, and Grave Titan might as well be the same card. It's irrelevant. So the equipment that ramps up like that has the potential to make your text boxes not matter, which is risky. But I think with like +1/+1, you very much care about what you're putting +1/+1 on. So
Yes.
this is not that. That's not. This is not an offender of that.
You perfectly articulated what I was trying to say about Mana Force Mace.
Yeah,
When it
sure.
was like +4/+4
It's like
in
doesn't matter. Normally, if you
shards
draw,
where all the guys are like 3/3s,
it's like normally when you draw a 1/1 or a 3/3 in a game of limited,
it
it's like this
matters.
is a huge difference.
Yeah.
When you have +5/+5 in play, it's not a huge difference
Right.
anymore,
Yep.
and that's potentially not the most fun gameplay.
Exactly. All right. Conjurer's Closet. Creature control. So
So there's a lot of flickering going on in the set, right? They have two rares devoted to flicker.
there's
The
like
angel, right?
yeah, there's the angel. What's the other rare that flickers?
This thing, or unless we're
Oh,
looking at different.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Conjurer's
yeah,
Closet.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then there's like the blue one that blinks two things, the white one that blinks one thing,
So I guess
and
it's sort of a sub theme of the set or
and the
whatever.
blue. There's another blue rare. I think it's a rare. Maybe it's uncommon. It's like 5/5 for 6 soul bond and like 2 mana blink a guy that it's soul bonded to.
Okay,
So
feels like that's a lot, but I guess it's a like a theme of angels in the set or whatever. They like protect you or something.
yeah.
Okay, I can buy it, I guess.
Well, the if that's the flavor behind blinking, then I don't understand this one.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to make that same comment. This is like you're a wizard in a box. About to like this is like some Star Trek shit. He's about to beam down to, some planet or whatever.
It
But
looks like he's walking into Narnia.
yeah, this is another one where it's like it's pretty hard for me. This design doesn't exist already over because it's like pretty simple and obviously
Yeah,
like
blink something
a
every turn.
sweet build around card, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But this is not something I would expect to really show up in constructed
Nope.
because how many times does this have to happen before you've gotten your 5 mana's worth? It's
a lot.
a bunch.
Yeah.
So probably not happening.
Yep. But it's a cool card.
Yeah, it's sweet. Sweet design.
Gallows of Willow Hill.
3 and tap it and tap 3 untapped humans you control, kill a guy, and it's what's the name of that card? That this is there's white and 2 colorless. Kill a creature, its controller gets a. Is it Afterlife? Is that what this is doing? Is that the name of the card?
Maybe. I know there's a Wrath that like with Threshold that gives you 1/1s.
Ding, got it. Yeah, this casts Afterlife.
All right. Well, this is like a weird card, cause it's not. Well, if it's casting an actual card like Afterlife, then it feels like it should be a Spell Shaper. But it's also like
Yeah.
weirdly.
Well, in fairness, Afterlife lets you not regenerate, and this allows you to regenerate, so it's not quite the same.
Oh, okay. But
it's very close.
yeah, this. Well, I have another question. Why do you need 3 people to run the Gallows?
Well, you need one guy to string him up, and then you need another guy to hit the switch, and then you need another guy to be like...
Read him his last rites.
Exactly.
Take down his final words.
Well, I think the actual answer is this card's potentially very, very unfun once it's online, so they want to actually make it challenging to get going.
Yeah, but I want to be that last guy that just can just sit around.
Yeah.
In fact, I would make the same guy, like string him up and pull the switch and read him his last rites, and I'd just kind of sit off to the side, not watching, because I don't want to like watch people get hung.
Right. This is sort of these sort of designs are just
Also, what if you kill a spirit with this? How are you hanging a spirit?
Well, hopefully it's just not. You would never actually want to do that. I guess is the counter to that.
But like, what if you're at 1 and just every turn you need to keep killing the spirit and turning it back into a spirit to like keep it summoning 6, so it can't kill you?
That's pretty narrow. Here's the thing: is I guess this is where I'm different from the Wizards design team or whatever.
I need to interrupt you. Sure. You hang the guy, right, and his spirit is like coming out of his body and like floating into the afterlife, and you're like, not so fast. You like grab him and string him up again. That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Savannah Lion's carrying a bone splitter or whatever. We've had like a million different. This flavor doesn't make sense or whatever. You can have a rattlesnake carrying a shotgun. Like, sometimes the flavor of magic doesn't quite make sense.
All right, fair.
But I guess this is maybe where I'm different from the magic design development team or whatever. Is this sort of design is just like I would just be very apprehensive about ever going down this road, because it's basically like, well, if this thing is actually online, if this card's actually powerful, then gameplay is just miserable because it's like your best guy is just dead every turn.
Right.
And you can't really get out from under it once it's happening. So like, if we're gonna make this card such that it's not gonna be a factor in tier 1, like we're gonna have to shoot so low on its power level that it's might not even look too attractive to the person who has the human deck and is in the market for this sort of thing. So at that point, it's like, well, why don't we come up with a design that is less miserable when it is actually online and not as challenging to get online?
Mm-hmm.
And it's possible that like I'm just a lot more conservative about this kind of stuff than their design team or their development team is, rather. But this is a card, if I saw it in a file, I'd be like, what are we hoping to accomplish by putting a card like this in the file? But
yeah.
And
it's very possible. It's very
Sorry,
possible that they can explain it away fine, but it definitely is a question that, or a card that raises that question.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, this is a card that I would have just been like, well, I think we should try to come up with a different, less oppressive design here. But
Sam says they already hedged here. What they're hoping to accomplish is a huge flavor win. I don't think like hedging is something you really want to like fall back on in design all that much, because hedging like leads to sort of messy cards. I understand that it's top-down flavor, but even its flavor is like they can make a Gallows better than this.
Right. I mean, the flavor is sweet. I wouldn't argue against that, and that is a good rationale, right? Is like this text box reads like a Gallows would, so that's kind of sweet or whatever. But there's just a risk here that I don't think is necessarily worth the upside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not even just about like what happens. Like obviously, I would be very surprised if this card ever made a splash in Tier 1 because it's like the deck building opportunity cost is very high, and your opponent can break it up with kill spells, or they might not even have creatures in their deck, etc., etc. But a card like this potentially has the potential to be very unfun at like kitchen table level, which is another factor to consider. It's not just like what is happening in Tier 1.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I can't
the
think
top
of
down
it.
is sweet.
Yeah.
Top down is sweet.
I mean, I can poke holes in it all day though.
Right.
I feel like they can do a better job of making like a hangman or a gallows or something.
Right.
All right. Haunted Guardian.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty simple workman-like. I'm actually not, in general, I'm not a huge fan of First Strike as a keyword because I feel like it only comes up when someone doesn't read the cards. So, I that's a keyword that I feel like in the last couple of years they started using it in lower doses, which I'm a big advocate of.
That's what I think is it needs to either be. I don't like it in low doses because in higher doses it becomes more relevant in like I have 2/2/1 first strikes, so now your 3/3 can't attack.
Yep.
So it like first strike matters not only like you said when people don't read it, but also like in multiples or with an equipment or something.
But fortunately, the argument of it's good in multiples means that, or it gets like exponentially better in multiples, at least on defense, is at least mitigated if they just do it in low doses. Like the odds that you have multiple first strikers in play in an average game is just fairly low.
Right.
So hedges a little bit.
Well, what about the card itself? Like, is this worth having?
What's up?
Like, why is this a card? Why is it an uncommon?
Oh, Haunted Guardian. Well, I think it's I think it's a common for some of the reasons that you said, which is like in multiples, this can be quite frustrating.
Right.
That said, like you still want to have some defensive cards, and I also do like defensive cards that are like, it just gives both players breathing room. Like it's not like I play this against you and now you can't attack. Also, you're under the gun. It's like okay, the game's just going to be played at a slightly slower pace. You need to make some cards that allow people to do that. I think probably the reason. It's certainly complexity-wise could be a common, but I think the argument's probably just like, what happens if people regularly have 2 or 3 of these things in play? Is the game just not fun to play anymore? And if that's the case, which it could easily be, then you just want to move it up to uncommon to make that happen less often.
Sure. It's kind of weird that it's like a haunted thing, but it's a construct because like the card itself is the, I guess, armor, even though there's like a spirit in it that's fighting it. I don't know.
Yep.
It's weird. Somebody in the chat pointed out something awesome. So we're going to have to back up to the gallows for just a second. It's the only card in Avacyn Restored that makes spirit tokens. Now, I don't know if that's true, but that's what this guy said. And I don't know why someone would lie on the internet. And the spirit token for Avacyn Restored, the art is of a child.
Okay.
Just something to put in your back pocket,
Okay. There's also if they want to do that, they could have also just reprinted Afterlife, right? Like that's a reasonable card. I guess they don't want to give Destroy can't regenerate to white. I guess maybe that's too big of a color pie violation, but
yeah.
I know they were pretty liberal about like having some sweet reprints, and certainly Afterlife mechanically makes a lot of sense in the set. I guess it's just not quite the right fit.
Yep.
For whatever reason.
All right. Want to move on to the Moon Silver Spear? Yep. Strike. So it turns it into. Oh, I guess this card is weird. I'm trying to like compare it to another card in my head, but I can't. Seems pretty like a pretty unique effect. Right, because the only other thing that does this